Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Feidt.
We are talking overnight success today.
Yes.
Everybody wants it. Nobody knows how to get it.
That's right.
And we are going to show you how you can use overnight success to your advantage.
Absolutely. Yes. I think this is a great subject because it's very common that you hear or even that you believe that people have overnight success, right? And not that it doesn't happen, but we're going to use this to our advantage, this whole thing.
Right. And I think we know everyone who's listening knows overnight success is overrated.
Yes.
Right. Like things that are worthwhile always take time. I think any goal you want to achieve. I love when people, come to the dojo or they'll call, new people will call the dojo and say, "Hey, do you think I can have like all that karate learned in about 6 weeks?"
Right.
And it's like, sure. Yeah. You'll be great. 6 weeks will do it.
Yeah.
Anything worthwhile takes time. But I think, there's a way, that we can actually kind of hack overnight, hack this concept of quick results of overnight success to help us achieve our goals and help us move forward.
So, I mean, instant gratification is really what we're talking about. You think if you're around kids, you have kids, you raise kids, and you probably know adults in this way too, that instant gratification, that's the hit. That's the dopamine hit that we love to have, whether we're scrolling through and looking at TikTok. We like that. I mean, it's just kind of built in to us. So how do we use that to our advantage to be successful? That's what we're going to talk about in this podcast, because it's a natural thing that I think we need to fight against oftentimes. But sometimes it's better, let's go with the flow.
Yeah.
Let's go, just like in business. I mean, there's certain things you want to obviously have principles, and you want to make sure that you're sticking to your plan, you're sticking to your mission. But there's sometimes that you might go with the flow with certain things because that's what the culture's doing at the time. Or you can align with it a little bit better, because going against the flow all the time, especially with kids, you're going to find that, you have to be flexible. And we did a podcast on rigid flexibility before.
Yep.
A while ago. I love that concept because it definitely does work.
And that's a great point. If our brain is already working this way, right? Like if our brain's already kind of predisposed to act in this way, like why are we not using this more? Why are we not kind of, like you said, going with the flow, moving in that direction, and just working in concert with the way that our natural ability wants to go? It makes so much sense. So I'm excited to get into our three actions here. So starting with the first one, right? Something that people are always looking for is quick wins.
Yep.
I always think about, like games on your phone, right? Like when you're playing games on your phone, the first level is always really easy. Right.
Yep.
And that's by design, number one, to kind of teach you what you're doing, but number two, to lure you in, right? And then it gets gradually more complicated, but we're always looking for those quick wins. If the first level was too hard, you would delete the app immediately. You know what I mean? So I think this concept of building quick wins is a good place to start.
Right. Yeah. And we do that in the martial arts, especially when we're teaching kids, and especially the younger kids. We have a program for 3 to 7-year-olds, and especially if they're 3 and 4, the goal is not to make it hard. The goal is not to turn them into a black belt champion within a year. They're too young, right? The goal is to anchor them in with certain things and how to learn and all of those. And we do a lot of rewards in the beginning. Well, oftentimes we forget as adults, those quick wins keep our motivation going, so if you line up your quick wins and they line up to a larger goal and a bigger goal, what's wrong with winning up to that big goal that you're going for?
Right.
That's going to take you a year or 2 or 3. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's what we're talking about with the quick wins, is make sure they're also in line with what you ultimately want.
Yeah, because you think about the thought process we have now as a culture, right? So we want to get fit, right? But so what we'll do is we'll look for those quick ways to get fit.
Yeah.
right? When in reality, like the only real way to get fit is to exercise and eat right. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? In the general sense, we want a lot of money, right?
Hmm.
So we can either start a business and do all the things that go with that, or we can scratch off lottery tickets. You
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
and so the quick wins that are built into the world just they don't work and they're not good long term.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can take that long process of getting fit and build a quick win into tomorrow I'm going to go for a walk. Tomorrow I'm
Yeah.
going to drink more water, right?
Hmm.
And then after you do it, you say, "Wow, I did a thing." Like that was my instant gratification was just in that small step forward that I took.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And you're basically gamifying your goals, your life. I mean, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you already referenced this before, but if you really study how not only games, but all social media, any
Hmm.
social media that's successful, any of those are successful, they gamified it. That's what they did,
Yep.
because that's they've studied psychology. They know how the human brain works. So what we're saying is, let's, like you said, hack it.
Yeah.
Here's a life hack. And what I'm saying is just make sure they're aligned to your ultimate goals. So that way they're not just you're over here, then you're over here, then you're over here, and you have all these little instant gratifications that don't lead anywhere.
Right.
Try to set them up so they're leading in a direction. And not that you can't have a little tangents here and there, but you don't want to have a tangent that's going to throw you off of your path that you're trying to go on.
Yep. 100%. So our first one, I mean, build quick wins. But then, as we were thinking about this, we said another reason people really, look for that instant gratification is in the distraction. We
Yeah.
brought up social media a little bit.
Right.
But it's we're working, we get tired of working for a little bit, and then we go to our phone and start scrolling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or we go to the kitchen to get a snack, or
Yeah.
So I mean, I find that we look for those distractions. So
Right.
what can we do to make those distractions more positive?
Yeah. So this is something I do when we were talking about this earlier when we were making this podcast, and something that I've done for years. And as we talked about it, I'm realizing that I do this
Yeah.
naturally because it works for me. And I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but it works for me. So I write every morning, and I found that I can write for 20 or 30 minutes most of the time, and then I have to get up. And I get up and I take 2 or 3 minutes, sometimes five at the most. If I'm at the dojo, I might clean something real quick. I might put something away. I might stock, whatever. So something that's not dealing with a lot of thought is just kind of manual. And that's when ideas come to me. But it's
Yeah.
also a mental break at the same time. So I'm not actively trying to think of something. I'm just doing the task, the manual task. And then when I come back, that 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes later, I get right back into it. And for me, that works. Well, that's an empowering distraction for me.
Hmm.
That also stops my watch from yelling at me to get up every 50 minutes because I
Yep.
already got up at the 20, 30 minute mark. Then I got up for the hour. So finding those things, right? Because the things I'm doing have to get done,
Hmm.
but they don't need to be done in the same period. They can be done little at a time, bits and pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was laughing because you said the watch reminding you to stand up every 50 minutes. Sometimes my watch does that while I'm standing up,
Yeah,
which I
that
always take as a
yeah,
shot because I'm short. Like, hey, don't forget to stand up. Like I am standing up. Um, Crazy watch. But really, I mean, there's so many little things that are on our task list. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And some of those things are actually things that, like you said, they need to get done, at some point. So instead of, taking a break from your important work and scrolling on your phone and then
right,
having to do that stuff later,
yeah,
fill that distraction time with exactly what those are. They can be little quick wins, just like we talked
yeah,
about earlier, right? They can be little things that we can work on and get done during our distraction time,
right,
because it's positive distractions. It moves you forward, it gets your
right,
body moving. And I think one thing you brought up that is really, really true is sometimes our best ideas come when we're not thinking about the thing that we're working on.
yeah,
I
for sure,
mean, our best ideas come when we're distracted. So, it's a great, distraction is not a bad thing unless it's not leading you towards some kind of positive outcome.
My two things that I do um, regularly that make a huge difference with coming up with ideas, and this is exactly on your thing, and I think it ties into positive distractions. One, I mow my own lawn. Now I can pay somebody to do it, but by doing that, not only do I enjoy doing it most of the time, I come up with great ideas. So I have my phone on me, and
Yeah.
my lawn takes me a little longer because I'll stop and write in my phone an idea that I had. And the other thing I like to do is I like to have a clean car. So I'll detail my car, and the same thing. When I'm doing that, ideas come to me. So I guess my point with finding distractions that work for you, you can do what I mentioned before. If you're doing a task that takes thought, those little mini breaks once or twice an hour make a difference. Or just doing something totally different that your mind isn't on. It's just a mundane thing. Some people get it in the shower. The ideas come in the shower. I know you mentioned that before. You had did you have a dry erase or
Dry
something
erase marker.
in your shower? Or driving, sometimes that happens. The problem with driving is you shouldn't really type, but you can hopefully use your Siri or whatever you're doing
Yeah.
to write your ideas down. But finding those positive, empowering distractions and building them in to your day versus a negative one that would be
Yeah.
scrolling social media or
Yeah.
play. Not that playing a game can be a good distraction, you know, but also if you're doing that and you look, like, I know our iPhones tell us how long we're on certain apps. If you
Yeah.
look at that app and that was like top of your list for the day, you may that game was,
Yeah.
you may want to rethink your strategy.
Right. And that's something that I think people, play around with a lot is like, yes, you need rest.
Yeah.
Yes, you need positive distractions. Yes, you need to, kind of get
Right.
away and out of
Right.
the grind, right? But, some people never get into the grind.
Right.
They kind of live in that state of
They never
distraction.
get to the
So,
grind.
yeah, so I mean,
That's so fun.
definitely, yeah,
Yep.
you don't need a break from
Right.
scrolling on
Right.
social media to
Yeah.
scroll more on social media.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so find empowering distractions. And our last one, like, which is a little counterintuitive, but I love that you said this, and it's be impatient.
Yes. Yeah. And so like I can be very patient with certain things. Like
Mhm.
if I have a problem student, I can be very patient. I can be very patient with my kids most of the time too. I mean, they're older now, but even when I was younger, I can be very patient. And I think part of that's just my personality and all that. However, I can also be very impatient when I want something done, especially at the dojo. You've been around me long enough. When do I want it?
When you
Now.
want it done. Yep.
Right. Now, not when you feel like it. When I say do something, there's a reason why I say do it. It's not because I'm trying to assert my power and dominance, it is because it needs to be done now. This person needs to be talked to. That person needs to be tip checked. This parent needs to be updated. Not later, not when you feel like it, now. And
Yep.
and so I can be very impatient in that sense. So my thing is that in a sense is that instant gratification. And I think it helps overcome procrastination many times. So using it, if you procrastinate, think of how you can spin that around to be more impatient with the things you're procrastinating about,
Yeah.
right? When you want something done, don't think about it as long as it's not something big that you have to plan out. I mean, if it's a quick task like a phone call, as soon as you think about it, do it, get it done, because you
Yeah.
not only you'll feel better, but by thinking about it, it's only going to make it worse.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. So I just got done listening to Zig Ziglar, and he has this. I'm not even going to try to talk about it because I would totally mess it up. But he goes through like an entire year worth of being patient to a fault, right? Where
Yep.
it's quasi procrastinating, where we say, well, hey, summer's coming, so now my
Right.
kids are going to be home. So as soon as the kids go back to school,
Yeah.
then I'm going to really
Yeah.
ramp up, and then the kids go back to school, and it's like, well, now it's the holidays. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have time to do it now. So as soon as the
Yeah.
holidays are done, then I'm going to get going.
Mm-hmm.
And we're patient to a fault, right? Because we use
Yes.
those excuses to kind of put off everything
Mm-hmm.
in good, in the essence of there will be time later. you
Right.
know. And I always tell people, if you didn't wake up and work out this morning and you're feeling bad about it, you can do 20 push-ups right now, like
Right.
this minute.
Yeah.
Is not if you're driving, but
No.
like there's
Yep.
things you can do right now. If you've
Right.
been talking about starting a business and you're sitting at your computer going, I hate my job, man, I wish I started this business, you
Right.
can make a phone call to
Yep.
somebody right now.
Hmm.
So I think we do have to, not beat ourselves up for putting things off, because we're all going to procrastinate and we're all going to do that part of life.
Yeah.
But I think we do have to have certain, you know, impatient expectations of ourselves, where we say,
Yeah.
when I'm thinking about it and it's bothering me, I'm not going to wait. Like, I'm going to get right on that and get it done.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Relieve that pressure
Yeah.
in a positive way.
Yes.
I mean, that's really what stress is. Stress is just pressure, internal pressure, and then it manifests in however it manifests with you. Everybody's a little different.
Hmm.
So when you're feeling that, let's take the pressure off right away. That instant gratification of let's get it done.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And think about. I don't like to use always, but maybe in this case it's warranted. Then it always makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Relieving that pressure. And if you can relieve it by doing something positive, like getting something done, and it's moving in the direction that you want to move into anyways, I mean, how is that negative? It's not
Yeah.
negative at all.
Right. It's funny. I saw an interview with Chuck Norris not too long ago where he said, someone asked him, look, you never worry about anything? And he said, no. He said, worrying is a waste of time. I work on things,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and that's really, what we're talking about is, like, if you have that stress, from putting things off and doing them, stop procrastinating and just start working.
yeah,
And I think sometimes that's the best way out of stress, is just to start taking action now.
yeah.
Just like our podcast
Yeah,
now.
no. And real quick on that, I agree with Chuck Norris, of course, one of my heroes. And I'm the same way. Like, if I'm worried about something, either I can do something about it or I can't do something about it. So if I can't do something about what I'm worrying about, then I need to stop worrying, because it's either going to happen or it's not, and I have no control over it.
Right.
The second category is I can do something about it. So why am I not doing something about it? So just like you said, and just like he said, do something about it. So
Yeah.
I really don't worry often either. And if
Yeah.
it's a worry, it's like very quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 5-10 seconds, and I either start taking action to relieve my worriness, or I forget about it and say, well, I can't do anything about it, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't like that saying, it is what it is, but that is the case when you have zero control over it. Why waste your energy?
That's right.
Focus on something that you have no control over. And I know that's way easier said than done. I understand that completely. Right. I'm just sharing with you my attitude on it.
Yeah. No, it's a process to get to, but it is 100%, in my opinion, the right way to go.
Yeah.
So let's talk about achieving overnight success. Let's go through our 3 steps. So number 1, we want you to build quick wins. So think about those things you can do. How would you gamify your results that you want to have some quick wins now?
And number 2 is finding empowering distractions, things that are going to get your mind off something very quick. And what I'm talking about is just a couple minutes, 5 minutes at the most, and then get back into it. And try something that is empowering, that is going to help you or get things done. And they're not a distraction that's going to take you off your course for the day.
Absolutely. And number 3, be impatient. Get some stuff done now. There's things we can put off. There's things we can procrastinate. But there's some things that we can do now. Be impatient. Push yourself and achieve those results.
Are you saying achieving results now?
I'm saying you should achieve results now. I wish I had a light bulb in I should keep a light bulb.
You should.
So that wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast. Please share this with somebody who would enjoy it, and we will see you on the next show.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.